The best advice every young man needs to hear is nobody gives a shit about me. I can't pay my bills. I have no food. Nobody cares. And that's a beautiful thing because that makes you strive to create your own value as a man.
Life as a man is so brutally simple. You wake up and you blame yourself for everything. You look in the mirror and you say, all of this shit is my fault. All of it. So how do I get it fixed? Nobody's going to come fix it for you. Nobody gives a shit about you. You have to give a shit about yourself. It's down to you and you alone because nobody else is waking up each day thinking of how they can get you to have more money and you to have a nicer life.
You know, you guys can say whatever you want about Andrew Tate. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but regardless to how you might feel about this guy, he's not wrong. You guys should have a soul-crushing fear of a failure. Nobody cares about you, not one bit. I'm always trying to, push this point home because a lot of people think that, it's just going to work out. A lot of people think that the people in their lives are going to have their backs when it matters. And I'm here to tell you that they're absolutely not. Nobody cares about you. Your well-being is an inconvenience to them if it becomes, something that they need to be on the lookout for or need to assist with. Right. Everybody's going to expect that you can do for them, especially if you're a man. And my audience is 99% male. If you are a man, everyone expects that you can and you will give to them and do for them. But they're never going to do, I won't say they'll never do anything for you, but it's going to be begrudged. They're going to begrudge every kindness and they won't really care. And you guys have to understand, a lot of you guys might be getting up there in age. When I look at my analytics, most of my audience is between 25 and like 55. So if you're like 25 and up, you're getting to that point where, you need to be hitting all those checks in the box for life. You need to be having your own car. You need to be having your own house. You need to have, 6 months savings and everything like that. You need to have some sort of nest egg in case things go south. Do you have that? I don't know. But if you don't, you should be fearful every day, right? I don't know what you're going to do to get $1 more today that you weren't scheduled to make. Meaning, I assume you have a job, but what are you doing to make even $1 more today that wasn't on your schedule, right? You got to grind harder. You got to do more. I keep telling you guys, the economy is collapsing. No one's coming to save you because no one's coming to save America as a whole. Any woman you might be dealing with, guess what? There's a better looking guy with a bigger bank account. He's taller, he's more handsome, and he's dumber than you. So he's willing to save that woman. So all the time you're pumping into that woman, all the other things you're pumping into that woman, guess what? That other guy is going to come along and say, thanks for the job well done. I'll take it from here. And all those resources you put into her, gone. Now you're starting over. You're either starting over from square one or that person you were depending on to be there with you through your hard times, that person's gone. This is why as a man, you should embrace the struggle, but at the same time, don't romanticize. You actually got to go out there and do something with it. I'm not even going to say you need to succeed. You have to succeed. You either eat or you starve.
A new workplace dystopia just dropped. AI monitoring software now flags if you type slower than your coworkers, take longer than 30-second breaks, or deviate from your Monday to Thursday schedule on Fridays. It's also collecting your workflow data to automate your job. One person chimed in that this basically happens already. Apple supposedly monitors their support team down to the minute. You get 3 minutes away from your keyboard. At 5 minutes, the manager is calling you, and at 10 minutes, they log you out and put you on a performance improvement plan. Another person shared that if you use any Microsoft 365 Office products, then your employer can track similar metrics from mouse, keyboard inputs, and camera use to microphone use in meetings, how many minutes you are on call, and percent of time speaking versus listening. I think any company that monitors their employees like this is not going to make it, not just because all of their good employees will quit, but also because their management team is either lazy or incompetent or both and would rather spend time on productivity inputs rather than figuring out how to actually measure value. For more daily business videos, make sure to follow.
Okay, so this right here is exactly why I tell you guys to focus on the bag, and you have to find a way to get more money. You got to find a way to get different revenue streams. That's why I'm over here grinding on YouTube. You know, this dude is talking about this new workplace dystopia, and it sounds horrible. This sounds like the worst thing in the world. Like, he's talking about how the AI is monitoring people to make sure that they're working essentially like machines. And what they're going to do with this AI is they're going to make sure that they have a justifiable reason to fire everybody. Now, if you don't work in a place that is, you know, like plumbing, you being an HVAC tech, electricians, you know, stuff like that. If you don't work in something like that, like manual labor, your job is going to be replaceable at some point. And this is what they're going to do. They're going to work everybody to death. And it's just like, you know, as a YouTuber, I already know it sucks being a slave to the algorithm, because, you know, people, no one wants to do that. Everybody wants to make the content that they want to make. They don't want to make this stupid algorithm driven content, but you got to do what you got to do, right? I want you guys to think about this. You got a lot of people out here who are working these jobs, and they're thinking to themselves, oh man, all I need is like a wife and a kid. That'll be my peace. That'll be my escape. I just need one woman who's really down for me and she really likes me, and I can put up with the workplace slavery. And there's men who really think like that. And the problem is, not only is this job going to kill you slowly, but what happens when that woman stops loving you? What happens when she stops having sex with you? What happens when she starts nagging? What happens when she wants more of everything? What happens when she starts keeping score with the chores and the domestic labor? Because that's what all the women are on right now. Domestic labor. They go on and on about domestic labor and how they do so much and how the men don't help and blah, blah, blah. You're not thinking about those kinds of things. And this is why I'm saying you have to start, you know, focusing more diligently on getting more streams of revenue. Whatever it is, like, as long as it's legal, right? Whatever it is, you have to focus on that, right? AI is coming for your job. They're going to start doing stuff like this. And that girl that's in your life, she's not going to be any help to you, because she's probably going to have the same situation, and she's going to look at you as the person who has to bail her out. She's going to say, well, it's your job to be the provider. And she's going to quit her job if you're dating her and she's working. She might get a kid out of you and say, okay, it's all on you. This is why I'm telling you guys, you gotta get comfortable with the idea of ditching these relationships, because you do not want to be in a committed relationship. You do not want to be beholden to a woman in the form of, you know, paying half the rent or something like that, paying a mortgage, having kids and everything like that. When you are trying to battle workplace AI, you are going to lose your mind.
You got 26 years. How'd you get out in 13 years? I snitched on every I could think of. I did an interview for Dateline and American Greed, and I ratted on a guy that I was in prison with. So I got 7 years and 15 years. I got 12 years off. I am a rat. Like, I cooperated. I desperately was ready to cut every throat to get out of prison, to save my ass. So I've been called, you're a rat, you're a scumbag, you're absolutely. And I had to weigh, there came a choice where I had to weigh the respect of my fellow inmates or 12 years off my sentence. And I said, F it. So whenever somebody's like, yo, bro, yeah, man, you're a rat. You know what I never say? You don't know I am a rat, but I'm free.
Right.
I'll take that rat. Gotcha. Like, I don't even have the luxury of being able to say you're wrong, and I'm not going to get upset about it because it's true. Because if that's the label you're willing to wear for 12 years of freedom, you're damn right it is. Right.
You know, I really understand what this dude is talking about. I'm not a criminal. I've never been a criminal, but I understand this dude saying, you know, he had to make a critical decision. I don't know what crime this guy was accused of or what he got convicted for, because he said he was in prison. But, you know, he ended up snitching his way out. Now, here's the deal. If you watch any kind of hip hop stuff, if you watch anything about, you know, hip hop people, whether it's rappers, podcasters, this or that, you know, these guys they're all fake. They're all fraudulent. When it comes to crime, the system is built to break you. Right. Once the RICO Act went in, you know, people started getting hit with these football numbers. They started getting convicted, and their sentence was a whole basketball score. They're getting 63 years here, 80 years there. Crazy stuff. that was designed to break the criminal. Nobody's going to stay loyal to a gang or a clique or whatever when you are staring at 14 years. You're staring at 21 years. You start getting pinched when you're 25 and they tell you that you're not coming home until you 75, man, you're going to sing like a bird, right? And you see it through the news. Everybody rats. Okay, it is what it is. But I think this is also a really good euphemism, so to speak, for life in general. A lot of you guys, you see the writing on the wall when it comes to dating. You see the writing on the wall when it comes to finances. You see the writing on the wall when it comes to the people in your life. You know it's time to start cutting people off. You know it's time to go ahead and put yourself first and be disloyal. There's somebody in your life that you need to get rid of, right? I guess, there's nobody to really snitch on. I'm going to assume you guys aren't criminals, so you can't necessarily snitch. But just from the loyalty factor, some people you got to stab them in the back. And I'm not even saying on no real, bad stuff. I'm talking about you have to just cut them off. You have to stop dealing with those people. They're a drain on your resources. They get in the way of you hitting that next level. There's somebody at work that you probably clown around with. And if you stop clowning around with that person and you went ahead and locked in, you might get a promotion or you might be able to do something. Like there's a lot of people in your life, one way or the other, that person is essentially your prison sentence because you associate with them, whether it's friends, whether it's family, whether it's a girlfriend. Some of y'all are married to your prison sentence and it's like, bro, you need to go ahead and bite the bullet and get rid of that. It just is what it is.
Gen Z men are leaning conservative. More 18 to 24-year-old men now identify conservative over liberal, a reversal from even a few years ago. And I'm not just talking about in the United States, I'm talking about around the world. Check out this map showing back to 2005 the way women and men are voting between the ages of 18 and 24. As you can see, in South Korea, the United States, Germany, and the UK, the blue line, men between those ages, is starting to lean right. Even though just a few years before, in each one of those countries, men were leaning more left than right. So what's happened? According to this Axios article, the left is saying that they just aren't smart or they're being manipulated. But apparently this is not the case. They just don't buy what the establishment is selling. COVID hit them hard and politics hasn't offered much since. It's what happens when nobody earns their trust. So to all the Gen Z men out there, do you agree with this? As always, let me know down below.
Okay, so, I really find it extremely funny that people they notice that there is a fantastically significant ideological divide between men and women. And like the woman said, it's not just in America. It's in America, it's in the UK, it's all around the world. Here's the thing. They understand that there is a divide, but they don't want to put it together because they understand what the implications is. They don't want to put 2 + 2 together to get 4. Wherever you see this ideological divide, it's in a place where feminism is running wild like Hulkamania, and it's in a place where the birth rates are declining. I mean, absolutely every place on the planet where there is some sort of Western influence and feminism is there, that is where the ideological divide is going crazy, and that's where the birth rates are declining. It's like people don't get it. When a country is in a time of crisis, the men understand, right? The men, they understand, oh snap, our culture is about to die, our country's about to die, our way of life is about to die. Right? We need to get right with God. We need to get back on track with something that's going to sustain us. Like men understand when the street lights are on, so to speak. Like men understand, like, hey, playtime is over. We got to stop doing all this decadent stuff. We got to stop acting stupid. We need to lock in. Women don't understand that. They never understand when playtime is over, right? So the women are saying, oh, we got our freedom. We got our credit cards. We got our education. We're girl bosses. We're getting promoted over you guys. We're better than you. We are women. Hear us roar, blah, blah, blah. So they are leaning left because they think it's time for them to get out and go wild and have their time to rule the world. Meanwhile, every economy, every single economy is collapsing. Like I know America and China are in a trade war, and right now it looks like China's winning because Trump's an idiot and he didn't hire any mathematicians that are worth anything. But every economy is collapsing. Every economy is about to fill it. Every population is declining. Like things are messed up everywhere. So the men are going back conservative because they see the problem and they are trying to fix it. They're trying to get on board with an ideology that is going to fix, repair, maintain, and sustain the country. Meanwhile, women, they just want to dance while Rome burns.
To go out with Mystery back in 2007 and 8, and it was incredible because you'd go to a bar and you know what you'd see at bars? You guys are never going to believe this. Attractive women who weren't fat. It was crazy. You want to know why? Because those women wanted validation. And the only place they could get validation was going out. Instagram destroyed that. The cold approach techniques that I learned from back then, they're still great and they're very useful, but they're actually more useful for me at Ty Lopez's event, talking to dudes to try to do business deals than they are trying to talk to women. If I want to talk to women, you know what I do? I throw a huge party and then I invite a bunch of girls on Instagram, and my Instagram looks baller so that they all want to come. And then they all come to the party and there's like 7 girls for every guy. But if I go to a bar, it's just dudes and fat women.
You know what's really crazy? This guy, like a lot of people don't like him because he just talks this dude, bro, pickup artist type stuff. But he's not lying in this particular instance. I remember when I got to San Diego, it was 2011, and I got here and it was just like I imagined it. It was just like everything you saw on MTV back in the day when you watched like Laguna Beach and stuff like that. It was nothing but beautiful women. All the women were beautiful. All the women were small and they were slim. And it was just this magnificent thing. It was like living in a fantasy. And I distinctly remember by 2016, it was nothing but big old fat ugly chicks, or at least I should say the women were getting big. They got real big, real fast. And currently in current day and time, these women are morbidly obese, like all of them. Now keep in mind, the population of San Diego is mostly going to be, Mexicans and white people and Asians, and everybody else, a lot of other people, the majority of people that you see, they're actually from out of town. They come here from, Ohio and Idaho and Texas and Florida and all this. They come out here to go to college. But like I said, they came out here on, putting their best foot forward. But now they're all overweight. So he's right about that. But, this guy, he's telling the truth. If you're out here trying to go to bars and nightclubs to find the girls, you're not going to find anything. Like it's a total dump. It's a wasteland. I've talked about it before. If you are going out to these bars and nightclubs, a lot of these women are they are online so heavily that they really only go to the bars and the nightclub to try to manifest in real life all the attention they've gotten online. So they might have a good week online where they get lots of, heart emojis and the little flaming heart emojis, and guys are simping for them real hard in the comments and stuff like that. So they'll go out just feeling good, seeing if they can get a couple of drinks or whatnot, and they will, but they're not actually there to talk to you. They're not actually there to give you their number. They're not actually there to link up or anything like that. Social media has absolutely destroyed dating. So realistically, if you're trying to date, you have to have some sort of social circle. Realistically, like you got to be dating work buddies, or you got to know somebody who knows somebody. That's really what it comes down to.
Tax the rich sounds nice. It just doesn't mean anything. Everyone who says tax the rich isn't specific, so we don't really know what they mean. Quote, all we had to do was tax the rich. Instead, every American small business that is supplied with Chinese goods will now be on bankruptcy watch. The rich are rich not because of a salary. They're rich because they own businesses, either private or public. So are we taxing those? Because that's exactly what they own. Most of those businesses are held in pension funds and retirement accounts. So what the stock market is going through now will exactly feel like what tax the rich would result in. And when people say close off tax loopholes, they're just talking about standard tax deductions. What specific tax loophole are we talking about? How much goes in there and how much would we save? Again, most people, when they say tax loophole, what they mean is a tax deduction, which everybody gets. Tax the rich sounds nice, it just doesn't mean anything. Learn the lessons about money that the people who say tax the rich don't really know. Download my free newsletter linked off the bio. Good luck. Take care.
Okay, so this guy he's talking about the tax codes, and he's essentially saying that the notion of taxing the rich is kind of ridiculous because all it is a standard tax loophole. And he'll say, so he says something like, oh, everybody says, close the tax loopholes. And what he's saying is, well, what tax loophole? What are you talking about? Spell it out for me. He's using a form of legalese, like he's expecting that everyone knows the tax code, which most people don't because they don't make the money that would, put them in a position to need to know the tax code. So what he's kind of doing is he's kind of being a jerk about how he's putting this out. People like this know that the tax code gets abused. I live in Southern California. One of the biggest abuses of the tax code is how people shelter their money. You have people like Kim Kardashian and all these other socialites and all these other people who make tens of millions of dollars per year. They can put that money in trust funds that are meant for homelessness. And what the news will report or what people will report is, oh, Kim Kardashian or this, socialite, this person of prominence has pledged $10 million, $20 million, $30 million to homelessness. And all they're doing is putting that money over into a private trust that they can't touch. And there's a portion of the interest on that money that is going to go to homelessness. And then after a certain point of time, they get that money back. All the while, they get to bleed their own interest off of that. So let's say that $10 million is making $1 million per year. A quarter of that will go to to homelessness, and then the rest of it goes to the person who put it in a trust. So they're never really losing their money. That money finds its way back to them with interest, and that's what people are talking about. Now, can I tell you that tax code? No, I don't know that tax code, but that's what people are talking about. The super rich shouldn't be able to shelter their money like that, and then that money doesn't actually go to helping anything because the homeless problem never goes away. When they put that money towards schools, it's the same deal, right? It's money laundering. I won't say it's money laundering because the money is clean to begin with, but you get my drift. This is what people are talking about. They're sick of rich people being able to find ways to not pay taxes that are supposed to go to schools and hospitals and railroads and infrastructure and things like that. So that's that portion. Now, there's a lot of frustration with rich people and hiding their money, but I will say this. When it comes to the 1%, when it comes to the 2%, even when it comes to like the top 10% of earners, if you took all their wealth and distributed it to everyone else, they would still be the top 10% after some point in time because they have the drive, the determination, the skills, and all the requisite, abilities to do that. They have the self-control and they have the wherewithal to just lock in and go get the wealth. This is why I always tell you guys, stop focusing on women, stop focusing on dating, stop focusing on marriage, stop focusing on fun. Focus on funds. Focus on making the bag. The economy is collapsing, and the top wealth earners, they are not going to go. They're not going to go down the same way you are. When the economy starts to collapse, you're going to feel it way before them for all of these different reasons. And at the end of the day, we are never going to tax the rich. They're not going to allow that.
DoorDash and Klarna have come together to form a new partnership, and it is fucking crazy what they're planning on doing. DoorDash and Klarna have essentially joined forces to allow people to take out debt to pay for their food deliveries. So as you know, Klarna allows you to pay for things in installments and is particularly popular among things like fashion houses. However, they have come under intense criticism for this new policy, with people quite rightly pointing out how absolutely batshit crazy it is to allow people to go into debt on basic things like this. The internet responded exactly how you might anticipate, and some of the funnier ones I'm going to put up on screen now. But beyond the actual means, it does beg the question of whether it's sensible to allow companies like this to actually give people even more chance to go into debt over basic things like food delivery. DoorDash and Klarna have pushed back hard against this, essentially saying, and I quote, "If people are in a situation where they're having to put food on credit, that is a bad indication for society," which I don't quite think is the defense they seem to think it is. Either way, from my side, this This just feels like a completely unnecessary step, especially because we're already seeing a huge debt-ridden economy, and encouraging people to take out even more so just for something as simple as a food delivery service feels like something that's going to head for bad news. However, as ever, I would love to hear from you in the comments whether it's something you actually think is a good idea or whether you think this is going to have a negative impact in the long run.
Okay. Now, this guy essentially proves my last point that if you took the wealth from the top 10% of earners, and we could even relegate that to like the top 5, or even be extreme and say the top 1%. If you took all the money from the people who have an egregious amount of money, they have, you know, they're making $5 million a year, $10 million a year, 15, whatever. If you took the wealth of the top 1% and you gave it to everybody else, this is the reason why the top 1% would be the top 1% again in 5 to 10 years. The reason being is because of this company, Klarna. They know how stupid people are. They know people are willing to put layaway plans. They know that there are people who are going to DoorDash layaway plans, right? They know that there are people who are slaves to spending. When you have a nation of people who feel like they need all these luxuries, they want Chipotle, so they'll DoorDash Chipotle, a Chipotle bowl or burrito or whatever. Let's just say if you go pick it up, it costs $20. Well, if you DoorDash it, it's going to cost like 40 or 50. And they know people want that convenience. They know people want to live that life. They know people want to do all that. So they've come up with a business. And keep in mind, this is really no different than just, you know, your standard credit card, but this is going to absolutely mangle people's finances because people are going to use credit cards to do this. So they're going to be getting hit twice. They're going to be getting hit with the double whammy. But this is what I'm talking about, right? A lot of people are poor because they choose poverty. It's like homeless people. They're not homeless because bad things happen to them. A lot of them are homeless because they did a lot of stupid stuff. A lot of poor people are poor because they're stupid. And stupid means willful ignorance. You know you shouldn't be spending the way you are, but you're going to go out here and spend like that. You got people who use this Klarna service for Coachella tickets, whatever that thing is, that music festival in the desert. Like I promise you, I looked up the stat. It was 60% of people who did it, they used some sort of layaway plan. And you got to understand, they're going to hit you at 20+% interest for those tickets. So these people got those tickets dirt cheap, but they'll be paying for it for the next 6 or 7 years. Like this is absolutely insanity. But you know, people know these companies and these corporations know that Gen Z, especially the women, they just love to spend. They love their concert tickets. They love their burrito bowls. They love all the stuff that comes with having money, but they don't have the money. And these people just want to live. They just want to have luxuries. They just want to have stuff that's meant for a person in, you know, a tax bracket 5 times what those people are currently in. So of course they're going to come up with that business plan to milk you dry and make you a debt slave.
Can you do a spin for the camera so they can see your fit?
Oh my god, I love your account. Just saying. I've been like, I want to run into him in the street. Are you interviewing people?
Yeah.
Oh, you're that man. Okay.
So if I was your man,
Okay.
would you still come out and dress like this on a girl's night?
Hell yeah.
Why do you feel like that's appropriate?
I love my body. If you don't like it, you're not my man.
So even if I said, hey, maybe you shouldn't...
I would do it even more.
How does it make you feel when you show your body off, though?
Amazing. Because I love myself and people compliment me and that's what I like.
Okay. So, in all honesty, it's for male attention.
No, it's definitely for me. I take pictures of myself. I look good, I look cute, I look hot.
Not even a little bit about the validation or nothing? So you don't feel good when a guy says, hey, you look so sexy?
Sure, but when I take pictures and I'm like, hell yeah, that's what I love.
But do you feel the same way when you're wearing pajamas and a sweater?
Yeah.
So why not wear that out to the club?
Because I'll get dress code and that's not what you wear. I like to look hot and take pictures, post them on Instagram.
All right, so you guys heard what this botched surgery lady had to say. Okay, so this woman is out here in her underwear, and she is obviously dressed in a manner that no woman should be dressed in if they're going out in public. Like, okay, yeah, maybe if you're going to some sort of swingers party, but not out in public in Miami and Brickell. But, women do that. Here's the deal. The interviewer is going to ask this woman if she was in a relationship with him and he was uncomfortable with how she was dressed, what would she do? And she immediately said, I would do it more. Okay, her body, her choice. But that also applies to you. Your body, your choice. I've told you guys dozens of times on my channel, when it comes to these women, you don't sit up there and put your life on the line when they're doing things to bring danger to your doorstep. When you walk out the house looking like that, there's gonna be somebody who gets drunk, they get liquored up, they're acting stupid. Maybe they're just all the way thrown off in the first place. They just have that antisocial demeanor. They're a sociopath, whatever the case might be. You walk out there, all it's gonna take is some dude who looks at her, then they look at her man and say, oh, I think I could take her man. I think I could whoop this dude. Maybe he has a weapon on him, a knife, a gun, whatever. And then he just starts talking crazy. He starts talking very vulgar about her body. Maybe he presses up on her. Maybe he actually touches her. Then you are going to be expected to jump in. She's basically going to pull the pin on a grenade and expect you to dive on it by walking out the house dressed like this. And this is why I tell you guys, stop protecting women physically. You protect them verbally first. You give them sound instruction, and when they don't obey it, you let them suffer the consequence. That's why the guy is saying, if I had objections to the way you were dressed, what would you do? She's telling you that she's going to throw you under the bus. She's going to throw you to the wolves. Once again, I've said it a million times on my channel. What happens when you get shot, when you get stabbed, when you get put in a hospital? Is she going to pay any of your medical bills? No. If you get laid up for an extended amount of time, is she going to pay your rent? No. Your car note? No. If you get deleted, now what? It's just game over. Who's gonna console your mom? You think this streetwalker is gonna console your mom? No. Your name doesn't live on. Your legacy is done. Everything is done. It's game over. Now let's switch the roles. What happens when you go out there, you defend this streetwalker a little bit too vigorously, and then you end up in jail, or that person ends up suing you? What's gonna happen? She's not gonna put no money toward that lawsuit. Nothing, like she's not gonna do any of that. This is why I tell you, you protect women with sound instruction. This woman has told you to your face, she will not obey sound instruction. Okay, first and foremost, you should never be dating a woman like this. But if you are going to date her, this woman is hell-bent on being a streetwalker. She's hell-bent on essentially carrying and conducting herself as a piece of meat. Okay, you enjoy that piece of meat while it's in your possession and you can enjoy it. Then when she puts herself on the grill and she starts getting cooked, walk away. Don't get cooked with her.